Yo, YouTube, how the hell are you? It's Iconic Bilo bringing you Shrouded Secrecy, a series where we challenge history that school and the news taught us and find out what they really don't want you to know. And today, we'll be talking about the nuclear wasteland, Pripyat, Ukraine, or also known as the Chernobyl disaster. This disaster is depressing when you look at it, but trust me, the pictures are breathtaking. But as something that isn't looked at in school at all, we will start out with the basics and tell you what happened, deeper and deeper into history, and what outcomes may have come from this, including possible nuclear waste missing, and possible land not being able to be used for a couple 100,000 years. Crazy shit, let's look deeper. But as always, there is a warning going into this video. If you do not like strong language, violence, or anything else like that, make sure you click away from the video now, because I am not afraid to say whatever the hell I have on my mind. Okay, although there is no conspiracy behind this, this could be what we're facing with all the other nuclear power plants or missiles in the world. As with Russia, the United States, anywhere, anybody could get pissed off at any time and attack us with a nuclear warhead, and this could be exactly what happened. Although Hiroshima and Nagasaki only were about a tenth of the power of what happened at Chernobyl, it could be happening here any day, at any time. So just be aware of that. Okay, so let's start out with the history of Chernobyl. On April 26th, 1987, the Chernobyl nuclear power plant reactor 3 blew up in a nuclear explosion around 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning and woke everybody up. All they saw was this big, bright light and a loud boom. The nuclear fallout covered most of the entire continent of Europe, part of Russia, and caused many health and weather issues, and some are still even felt today. Although this happened on the 26th of April, it was around 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning when the explosion happened. Not a single person was removed from the area for almost 48 hours, which is insane. And this is where I guess a conspiracy really could kind of come into this, because if you think about it, what government wouldn't want to get as many people out as they possibly can? It took them 3 days almost to get all of these 50,000 people within 30 miles away from the reactor. And looking at the Soviet Union at the time, being a world power and in the Cold War, this isn't publicity that they should have gotten or wanted to get. What really happened was they had to test the reactor within a couple weeks or so of when this happened. It was supposed to happen like the week before, and they said, no, it's almost getting into summer. We need to get more output of electricity. So let's keep going. We're not going to test it right now. Once we get into the swing of summer, maybe we can slow it down for a little bit and test it then. And 2 days later, I believe, or 3 days later, Chernobyl happened. Okay, so this went so far as a cover-up from the Russian government. They used a carnival that was there for the end of the month as like a state parade kind of thing. And this carnival is now infamous. The Ferris wheel is something, if you look up Chernobyl, it's going to be one of the first pictures you find. It'll definitely be the thumbnail of this video, and has been shown in very many entertaining things. The stories that lie behind all of this is insane, and if you guys are definitely interested about all of this, make sure you guys do your own research. Watch videos that I suggest, watch anything, listen to anything that you want to listen to. Okay, so these are the videos and games and movies that have introduced Chernobyl or Pripyat into part of their series or whatever they put it into. Now, the carnival, which was helped to control the masses, which is now infamous, the Ferris wheel and the bumper cars, were shown in video games like the one shown in Call of Duty Modern Warfare 4. It was in, I believe, 2 or 3 missions, and also in the multiplayer map block, as you will see in the gameplay at the beginning, which should be happening right now, and you will see the beginning cutscene in probably about 10 minutes or so. What actually happened there. They try and go into the backstory just a little bit, and they actually really kind of show how the Russians sort of felt, or the Ukrainians sort of felt about this. They have a Russian enemy in the game, so they have his voice doing voiceovers for the specific accident. So if you guys are interested in that, make sure you listen to that when it comes up. Movies like the Chernobyl Diaries, although this movie was filmed on set, they did the best they could to recreate Chernobyl, and it does look rather well, but the movie does not come up to par. But if you are interested in Chernobyl, as I am, and I'm pretty sure you guys would be if you guys are listening to that, make sure that you guys check out this this movie. It's a great movie, great movie, and definitely entertaining, and could be better, but definitely could be worse. And the television shows like Destination Truth, which it was in season 3, episode 4. They look back into what actually happened to Chernobyl, but they don't really go into as much as like looking back into the past. But they go there in radioactive safe suits and look to see if the radioactivity causes ghosts or paranormal activity, which they find out that Chernobyl is, in fact, if you believe in it, haunted, which is really kind of cool considering some of the footage that they get, which I can't use because it's copyrighted footage. But if you guys end up looking that up, you'll be blown away by some of the things that they find. They have a piano that plays itself. Something scratches them or slaps them or something like that. It's really kind of cool. And they get this like floating thermal imaging too. That really kind of blew me away. They were on a 3rd story, and they see this huge human figure in a window, and it wasn't their reflection. They tried to recreate it, couldn't recreate it. So if you guys actually do like shows like that, make sure you guys check that out. And I also found a not only a Reddit article, but a person who went to Chernobyl and ended up going in and shooting a YouTube video there for his band, and his name is Crucifix, and I'll make sure to put his link down in the description. He had a full series on what he did there. He took pictures, he filmed and everything else, and he had some great work there. So if you guys are interested in something like that, make sure that you guys check that out, because it was really kind of cool just listening to what he saw or what he's seen, and then having a song that he wrote about the story of him going there, and all of the stuff was filmed there, which was awesome. So make sure if you guys really want to hear something like that you guys check that out. I will also be telling you guys about what he saw and what he felt a little bit later on in the video, but right now we are going to start looking into some things that actually kind of jump-started my addiction for learning about Chernobyl. Well, in 11th grade, we were talking about the Cold War and things that we wanted to learn, because we were starting to slow down, starting to get towards the end of the year. So we were talking to our teacher about what we wanted to learn, and a couple kids brought up Chernobyl. At this point, I've already played COD 4, but I looked into it myself. But we really kind of wanted to push and see what exactly happened. So right now we're going to cut away for the intro to Call of Duty 4. Please enjoy, and I will be right back after. When I began to look back into it, it gave me this addiction of learning about Chernobyl. And I guess it really kind of intrigued me why I didn't learn about this in school, or why it wasn't being part of what was taught. I guess after looking at pictures of it and seeing that everything's overgrown, And it's some of the most amazing pictures you'll ever see in your life. Everything being decayed and back to what it would look like if, like, New York City or the city you live in now being destroyed and completely overrun. It's insane just to look at it, and if you have some free time, make sure you try and do that because it's really, really kind of cool. So, more than 1,800 documented cases of thyroid cancer have happened in children who were between the age of newborn and teenager. So that's in between the age of just being born and 13. 1,800 cases of thyroid cancer have happened, which thyroid cancer is really kind of linked to being exposed to radiation. So all of the children that were around Chernobyl at that point were really kind of at risk, and Russia didn't really care. They kind of just gave them up to it. And they said, oh, well, you guys can deal with this, figure it out. And 18 documented cases of cancer have happened because of this. Many experts believe that at least 40,000 cancer deaths have happened from the nuclear fallout since 1987 because of Chernobyl. This is 1% of all cancer deaths at this time. Now, if you really look back at it, 1% isn't a lot, but for one specific incident, this covers all of the deaths in not only the War on Terror, but I believe you add in Vietnam into that, and it's around about the same amount. And everybody was complaining about both of those. I think that's a lot of people. 50,000 people is more than most cities in the United States. Not combined, but separately. There's quite a few cities that are over 1 million, of course, but it definitely covers quite a bit of people. 40,000 in 20 years now. It's probably even higher than that now, considering this study was done, I believe, in 1997, which was 10 years after it happened. And it was 1% of all cancer deaths at that time. Imagine now, where even 30 miles are still marked off. Although the site of Pripyat looks breathtaking, the cleanup after the Chernobyl meltdown was very, very sad. It was a very, very sad excuse of saying they're cleaning up. But to show how lacking it was, we will compare the Fukushima power plant in Japan that was hit by a tsunami in 2011 and the Chernobyl area after the affected disaster. In the city of Fukushima, the tsunami destroyed the entire set of 6 reactors, not just one, and after a year or so, many people could really move back into their homes in the 30-mile radius of the city. And if you compare this to Chernobyl, it's outstanding considering there is, I believe, 150 miles or 150,000 square kilometers or 57,000 square miles that people can't live in for 500 years because of them not cleaning it up, where the radiation was too high for them to even attempt to clean up. Now, there's pictures of something called the Red Forest, which there are pine trees that are like fire engine red or orange because of how much radiation poisoning the trees have received. Now, these trees, as most trees, build off oxygen, which will clean out as much radiation as it normally would suck in. But the radiation that these trees have received is so high that it turned all of their leaves and everything red orange instead of being bright dark green. And there is a 30-mile circle, which is most of the city of Pripyat and the specific reactor in Chernobyl, that is unlivable for about 50,000 years. And the rest may be unlivable for about 500, as I said, or so because of all the radiation in the area and it not being cleaned properly. But the thing that this isn't really telling us is all of the outcomes towards the animals and all of the outcomes towards just the ground itself. Now, I was reading that Reddit article I was talking to you guys about earlier, and they were asking him about the weird things he saw. And did you see any animals that were a little bit different or something like that? And he says, we were warned about the animals going in, wolves especially. They were warned about the wolves because they've evolved into something similar to like the saber-toothed tiger back in the day. Their mouths are very, very large, and they, just because of the radiation, they can pretty much eat anything in the area. So they have overrun the area at this point. And they didn't see any wolves, which, look, I guess. But they saw some oversized catfish that apparently had been mutated because of the effect of the radiation. Now, this could also be because of the catfish not having any natural predators in the area, but they were like 3 or 4 feet and probably about 400 or 500 pounds. Think of a fish that big. That's going to be huge. And they saw a few crazy squirrels in abandoned buildings that were swinging, flying around in the little buildings and stuff, because there are flying squirrels as well. And that's just insane, knowing that they were warned about wolves before bears. Think of how nasty that wolf must be, you know. And one really kind of cool thing is they have a cafeteria when you're going into Chernobyl, because you still can take tours there, which truthfully I'm going to try and do eventually before I die. And they have this place called the Chernobyl Workers Cafeteria. And you have to go there and you have to eat a meal, and they give you this drink that makes it so that you don't get as much radiation sickness. You'll see this in the Chernobyl episode of, I believe, what the hell was that show called? Oh, Destination Truth. That they have to take this radiation poisoning sickness medication, which is really, really kind of cool that they actually try and show you everything that they possibly can. And just the massive, massive outbreak of how bad this radiation was is baffling. And hold on. Now, as I was saying with the whole tourism thing, now let's look into this question that he was asked. Did you encounter anything supernatural or crazy that you couldn't explain while in the dead zone? How difficult was it to get into the 30-mile radius? Did you need special clearance? And what was the most fun part about visiting Chernobyl? I didn't experience anything supernatural per se, but I looked out and saw what was once a beautiful city, thriving with life and purpose, which, truthfully, if you think about it, 50,000 people in probably about a 30-mile radius, that's not a lot, but think they were all in the city center when they were being forced out. So you guys also have to think about that. And then in the matter of 2 hours, it became one of the biggest ghost towns in the world. 50,000 people used to live here, but now it's a ghost town. That's baffling to most people. So make sure you guys also look at that. Like, imagine if that happened to your city right now. What do you think would happen? That really kind of stuck with me. And at the time I went in, it was very difficult to get in. The government shut Chernobyl down to all tourism and had to get a special letter of permission from the Ukrainian government. But even with that, there was still a chance we could have gotten to the zone and been turned away. But I believe now it's open and tourism is a lot easier. They offer a better place to stay if you choose to spend the night there, and they can tour on four-wheelers and in a helicopter. Now, this is amazing, and I really want people to look more into this, because this is something that they don't teach, because it didn't happen in the United States, and it's not about religion. But I think school needs to start focusing more on what we need to do to prevent things like this. We need to show what happened with negligence and what happened with people screwing up what could be thousands and thousands and thousands of deaths. And we sit here and learn about the Holocaust and everything else, but we don't learn about something that caused 50,000 people to be uprooted. And I guess this is really kind of a segue into the next topic I will talk about next week, which is the Japanese concentration camps in the United States. And that's something that you don't learn about either. There's a lot of topics in history that you don't learn about. because they're too busy covering from test to test. And I guess this is really kind of a rant at the end, so I hope you guys understand that. Teachers have to cover what the state is told, it tells them to cover, and what the government wants you to cover. And they don't really have the time or the expansive knowledge to cover everything that they want to cover, unless they do it themselves or you sign up for extra classes. And I was a history buff in school, so I signed up for any extra classes I possibly could. So make sure you guys always challenge your knowledge and challenge what you want to learn. And if you guys want to hear about something specific or hear my thoughts on a topic, make sure you guys leave it down in the comments. And make sure you guys like and share the video if you guys really enjoyed it. And make sure there is a red button down there, and if you don't have it clicked, make sure you click it and subscribe. And as always, this is Iconic Bilo. Fucking see you later.